I ain't gonna lie. I've been holding a lot of shit in lately. Man, I just had like a 3.5 hour cry.
This true inspiration. Me being with my brothers, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, yo, we here. We the neighborhood association now.
You better believe.
it.
The board.
I'm proud of my brother, for real. I was saying like how he had the car show, he pulled up on me.
He pulled it off.
And I got to use his products, and we was like, let's have an act of love, because washing the car, most hustlers don't wash the car. A lot of cats got ego.
A lot of times you feel like you too big for
they got shame in their game. Nah. We don't have no shame in our game. We gonna get to this money. We gonna wash the car. We gonna go door to door. Ain't nothing stopping this.
The hip-hop world changed in an instant when 50 Cent dropped audio that immediately put Rick Ross on the defensive. It didn't feel like another routine rap clash or a loud social media stunt. Instead, the release came across like a carefully staged power play, delivered with confidence and perfect timing. There was no drawn-out setup and no extra theatrics attached to it. Every word seemed intentional, and that restraint made the moment hit even harder as the industry paused to take it all in. Label insiders, fellow artists, and fans all seemed to land on the same conclusion. This was not careless noise, but a deliberate move designed for maximum effect. More than anything, the episode highlighted a truth that the entertainment business understands well. Real power rarely belongs to the person making the most noise. Yet it belongs to the one who knows exactly when to strike, how to control the moment, and how to leave a mark before anyone else can catch up.
Mad at me, nigga. Let me tell you something. If Rick Ross watching this, let me tell you something. Stop hiring drivers. Drivers always tell them. I know what happened at LAX with that boy.
Oh, God. And
I wanted to touch on some old school stuff that I seen you talk about before, man.
Do it, bro.
I had seen that, you kind of knew 50 Cent before he blew up.
Yeah.
What was that like?
50 was the type of dude that kept like a little, he kept like a little pad with him. And he wrote everything down. You understand? Me and him caught the plane. We was going to Vegas. And I gave him my card. My business card was savoir faire, security, management, and everywhere. You know what I mean? So 50 did a song about that. You know what I'm saying? And he put that in the song. And some years ago, about a year or so ago, not even a year or so ago, he said that when he dropped my name, he said, yo, I got the savoir faire. I got that from Big Gene. He been trying to tell y'all about this years ago. But 50 was the type of dude that if you knew he was with you, he was with you. Even back then, he had your back whether you was security or whatever you did. If he was with you, he was with you. And that's what you gotta love about him. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta question his loyalty, you know what I'm saying, on some fight shit or if you in a situation. Cause he going out.
Well, I guess you were hanging around him or knew him, right before he got shot.
Well, what happened is that I had got some information. 50 came to my house. I tried to fit him on a vest, but I'm like, at the time I was like and 50 was like a large, you know what I'm saying? So he couldn't really fit the vest, but I gave him a cover to try to tell him, because he had some pads, some vest pads. So I just told him what the situation was that I knew. And told him he had to watch himself because those cats was gonna come at him. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah. And he was supposed to be going to Cancun. And I told him, if you come to Cancun, I got you, because I used to be down there doing security at Daddy-O's. You understand? And I had people down there that I knew that was from Puerto Rico, and they was working down there, so they should make sure when I hit the island, anything and everything I needed, I could get it right there on the island. You understand? They work directly with the syndicate. So 50 was supposed to come down there to do a show, and he didn't make it because they had shot him up. I don't know if he was coming in the first place, but he was supposed to because he was paid half the money to come down there to perform How to Rob an Industry Cat.
And when was the next time you seen him after that?
The next time I seen 50 after that was at Jack the Rapper. He had blew up. Man. He was like, he was this dude and everything like that. And I was sitting we was in Puerto Rico, and I was sitting by myself, just chilling, and he had his whole entourage with him. He came directly over to me. He like, yo, Gene. I was like, yo, what up, Fit? I said, what up, 50? He said, what's up, man? He said, yo, put his hand out to me and grabbed my, he said, yo, they can't stop what God got planned. Went on about his business. And then he blew up crazy.
What looked sudden from the outside was, in reality, part of a much longer storyline. The tension can be traced back to the Officer Ricky era, when Rick Ross took early shots at 50 Cent, and many assumed the issue would eventually fade into hip-hop history. But while Ross continued building his brand and expanding his public image, 50 appeared to step away from the spotlight surrounding that feud. Behind the scenes, though, it seemed he was watching closely and waiting for the right opening, never fully treating the situation as finished business. When the recording finally emerged, it made one thing unmistakably clear. In celebrity culture and in rap alike, influence is not always about staying visible every second. Sometimes it is about patience, reading the room, and delivering a precise move at the exact moment it can do the most damage.
The music he did, he had the bad boy legacy and everything like that, man. But, a few albums, a few people, made to be famous, but they not here to tell their story. Black Rob, Biggie, Craig Mack. They not here to tell their story, bro. And now you got everybody telling his story.
Yeah, and I know 50, he did a recent interview with US Weekly saying that the reason why rappers are quiet about, Diddy's situation is because they've been to his parties and they don't know what got caught on tape.
Bro, those people who was caught at Diddy party did not know that he had 250 tape recorders in that house. That's a big house. But he had 250 tape recorders in that house that they took, that the feds found. So now with them finding all that and you being at a Diddy party, you may have done something that was caught on one of those tapes. You just better pray to God that they don't recognize you. Those people who know that they did something, no, they're not going to speak out. They're not going to say nothing. What part of the game is that? They are not going to come forward and tell on themselves. Nah, not at all. Ice Cube, he said it himself, bro. He said that Diddy's been targeted because of what he said about those folks and those people. Now, the people who was on those tapes may feel like Diddy might be targeting them. Because if he's asked about who is this, who is that, and he's under oath with the federal government, he got to tell them. He's not going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, I know that got to be a terrible feeling, man. And, you did something wrong at Diddy party, and you hoping and praying that it's not caught on tape.
But they don't think they did nothing wrong. That's their lifestyle. That's their lifestyle, bro. I ask guys all the time, if two men lay down, how many homos get up? What you mean? I mean what I mean. It's what it is.
The second the audio hit the public, the mood across the industry appeared to change. What began as outward confidence quickly gave way to quiet crisis management, private conversations, and a noticeable effort to reassess the situation behind closed doors. The atmosphere was no longer casual. It was strategic. Rick Ross initially treated the release like the kind of provocation that comes with rap rivalries, but that calm reportedly shifted once the recording was heard directly. At that point, the tone changed from dismissal to concern, and insiders began to view the moment as far more serious than a passing jab. Sources close to the conversation saw the release as something planned well in advance, not a spur-of-the-moment drop. That immediately raised a larger question hanging over the industry. If this was only the first move, what else might still be waiting in the background? When something lands with that kind of precision, everyone starts recalculating, because in a business built on image, timing, and control, the opening reveal is often just the start of a much bigger fallout.
You hear Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece. Today's teaser confirms that Netflix relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release, a statement from a PR rep told the Hollywood Reporter on Monday. As Netflix, here I have CEO Ted Sarandos knows, Mr. Combs has been amassing footage since he was 19 to tell his own story. This is interesting, right? Because as Netflix knows, so did they like have a deal with him to do his own doc, and then they sort of gave up on that, and Netflix is like, all right, take us to court. Kind of fascinating how that reveals. As CEO Ted Sarandos knows, he's been amassing footage since he was 19 to tell his own story in his own way. It is fundamentally unfair and illegal. That's the thing I'm more interested about. For Netflix to misappropriate that work. Netflix is plainly, let me get to this, because plainly desperate to sensationalize every minute of Mr. Combs' life without regard for truth in order to capitalize on a never-ending media frenzy. If Netflix cared about truth or Mr. Combs' legal rights, it would not be ripping private footage out of context, including conversations with his lawyers that were never intended for public viewing. No rights in that material were ever transferred to Netflix or any third party, the statement continues. It is equally staggering that Netflix handed creative control to Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, a longtime adversary with a personal vendetta who has spent too much time slandering Mr. Combs. Beyond the legal issues, this is a personal breach of trust. Mr. Combs had long respected Ted Sarandos and admired his legacy. Netflix, you're getting called out by Diddy. What are you going to do? He has admired the legacy of Sarandos' late father-in-law, Clarence Avant. For Netflix to give his life story to someone who has publicly attacked him for decades feels like an unnecessary and deeply personal affront. At minimum, he expected fairness from people he respected. Well, I think the women you dated expected that too, and you didn't really give any of them that, did you? So I'm not going to be worried about any of that respect. But I will say, how did they get this footage? Well, the director, both Stapleton and Jackson were tight-lipped about how the pre-arrest footage was acquired, with the rapper asking, why would you ask us to reveal our sources? The footage was obtained completely legally, Stapleton told. However, in another statement, the footage was another statement from Engelmayer asserted that the footage was never authorized for release. It includes private moments, pre-indictment material from an unfinished project, and conversations involving legal strategy, according to the rep. So that's what things is interesting, right? Did Netflix have a deal? Who had this deal? Who had this footage? Who gave this footage away? That to me is the big question mark, because someone's making money off of this. Crazy. Clearly it's not Combs, which honestly I'm kind of okay with.
Rick Ross's reaction appeared to push the story into even shakier territory. What could have remained a tightly managed controversy began to look more unstable as late-night social media posts replaced the kind of calm, polished response expected in a high-profile moment. The messaging felt rushed, emotional, and at times uneven. Rather than projecting control, the posts seemed to reveal irritation and pressure. Reports suggested people around him were trying to limit the damage, but every attempt to explain the situation only seemed to draw more attention and invite more public speculation. That is often how celebrity crises escalate. Once the pressure builds, the reaction itself becomes the headline. Small inconsistencies start looking larger than they are. Audiences pick up on the tension immediately. And the conversation shifts from the original issue to bigger questions about judgment, composure, and whether the person at the center can still steer the narrative.